She looked at me from across the kitchen counter, her phone half hidden behind her coffee mug, and said with a small laugh, "It's just a weekend with friends. Don't be so dramatic." I wanted to believe her, I really did, but there was something off about how she said it. Too smooth, too practiced. It sounded like the kind of line you rehearse when you already know it'll need defending. Like a door closing quietly behind you. I'm Ethan. 38. Married to Claire for 7 years. She's the kind of woman everyone notices. Confident, magnetic, the center of every room. Me, I'm the quieter one. I like calm spaces, small moments, silence that doesn't need filling. For a long time, that difference worked between us. Or I thought it did. Lately, though, our house has felt less like a home and more like a waiting area where two people pass time together without really being there. We still talk, sure, about bills, errands, her Pilates classes, but not about anything that matters. Whenever I try, she waves me off with a familiar line, "You're overthinking again." So when she mentioned a girls' weekend at the lake, I didn't argue. Not right away. But the more I sat with it, the heavier it felt. Maybe it was the way her phone started living face down on the table, or how she'd smile at messages she never mentioned. Or maybe it was something quieter, intuition, that voice that whispers before logic wakes up. By Friday morning, her bag was already packed and waiting by the door. She kissed my cheek, said, "Don't wait up," and left with that light-hearted laugh I used to love. I stood there, listening as the car pulled away, and for a moment the silence felt alive, like it was learning to breathe again. That evening, I couldn't shake the unease. I opened her laptop, something I hadn't done in years. I told myself it was to calm my nerves, to prove I was imagining things. She was still logged into a group chat, lake crew with little emojis beside it. I scrolled absent-mindedly until a few messages stood out. Mark, "So, no guilt this time." Claire, "Don't start. It's just a weekend." Mark, "Sure. Same cabin, same bed." Claire, "Don't be dramatic." I stopped there. I didn't need to read more. Sometimes the truth doesn't unfold. It just appears, sharp and clear, and cuts everything open. I sat staring at the screen, feeling something inside me quietly collapse. When I finally moved, it wasn't out of rage, it was out of certainty. I didn't call her. Didn't text. I opened a drawer and took out the envelope where I'd kept the small notes she'd written over the years. "Love you. Miss you. Can't wait to see you tonight." I stacked them neatly beside her favorite mug on the counter. Then I wrote one of my own. "It's just the end. Relax." I left it under the mug. That night, I slept better than I had in months. Not peacefully, but emptily, like the air after a storm that's finally run out of thunder. Saturday came and went without a word. By Sunday afternoon, she was back. Same perfume, same bright smile, same casual energy. She glanced at me on the couch and said, "You didn't even text me once. That's not like you." I just nodded. I didn't want to be dramatic. Something flickered across her face, a brief hesitation before she laughed. "You're acting weird. Everything okay?" "Perfectly fine," I said. And for the first time, it was true, at least in a hollow kind of way. While she went upstairs to unpack, her phone buzzed on the counter. A message preview lit the screen. "Mark, did he suspect anything?" She stared at it for half a second too long before flipping the phone over. That was when it hit me. She wasn't afraid of losing me. She was afraid of getting caught. There's a world of difference between those two kinds of fear. When she came back down, she was humming. Same tune she always used when she was hiding something, soft and almost cheerful. She dropped her bag near the stairs and said, "You didn't even ask how my trip was." I looked up from the coffee I wasn't really drinking. "How was it?" She paused, maybe surprised I'd asked. "It was great. Just what I needed. The girls were hilarious. We stayed up late, talked for hours. You'd have hated it." I smiled faintly. She was right. I probably would have. Her smile stopped short of her eyes. "Good," I said quietly. "I'm glad you got what you needed." She frowned, picking up on how I said needed. "Ethan, what's that supposed to mean?" I lifted a shoulder. Exactly what it sounds like. She waited for an argument, an accusation, a burst of anger. But I stayed calm. That seemed to unsettle her more than shouting ever could. Are you really upset about one weekend? She asked. You always do this. You make up stories in your head. I set my coffee mug down and met her gaze. I'm not upset, I said. I'm finished. Her laugh was short and brittle. Finished with what? With pretending we're okay. Something in her face shifted. Her jaw tightened. Her eyes flickered. Ethan, you're overreacting. Maybe, I said. But I'd rather overreact to lies than stay quiet through disrespect. Her expression faltered. What are you talking about? I nodded toward the envelope sitting by the mug. She hesitated, then picked it up. Her eyes scanned the note, once, then again. Where did you find it? She asked softly. Does it matter? Her silence said everything. She didn't deny it. She didn't argue. She just seemed to shrink, all the fight leaving her. It didn't mean anything, she whispered. I almost laughed. It never does, until it does. She started crying then. Not the kind of crying that comes from regret, but the kind that comes from being caught. I watched her, realizing how many times I'd mistaken those same tears for love. I made a mistake, she said. I was lonely. You've been distant. Lonely. I echoed. I was here every night, Claire. You just stopped seeing me. She reached for my hand, and I stepped back. Not out of anger, just instinct. The kind that develops when you've been burned too many times. I can fix this, she said. We can see someone, go to therapy. I shook my head. You wanted freedom. You called it a girls' weekend, but it was really a test run. And now you know what it's like without me. She bit her lip, saying nothing for a long moment. You're really leaving? I nodded. I already did. Her eyes darted toward the stairs. You packed? No, I said softly. You did. Every time you lied. Every time you dismissed me. Every time you said I was overreacting for caring. You packed a little more. She didn't respond. Just stood there, still and silent, as the truth sank in. I walked past her, grabbed my jacket from the chair. The air outside was cold, but it felt cleaner than it had in months. As I reached the door, she called after me, Ethan, what am I supposed to tell people? I turned back. Tell them the truth. You wanted space. Now you have it. Then I left. I didn't go far that night. Just drove until the highway lights blurred into glowing streaks. I ended up at a cheap motel near the interstate. The kind with buzzing vending machines and a flickering neon sign. I sat on the edge of the bed, phone in hand, her name at the top of my messages. Dozens of unread texts below it. For a moment, I thought about replying. Then I remembered how it felt reading those messages from Mark. The casual cruelty of don't be dramatic. So I didn't answer. I just opened the window, let the cold night air drift in, and whispered, it's over. Breathe. A month later, the divorce papers arrived. She didn't put up a fight. Maybe she thought I'd change my mind once I calmed down. But some things don't fade with time, they just come into focus. I wasn't angry anymore. Just thankful. Because sometimes losing someone isn't a loss. It's a reminder that you've finally learned how to respect yourself. And if she ever wonders why I never looked back, I hope she remembers her own excuse. It's just a weekend with friends. That weekend cost her everything.